When you first came into Congress 10 years ago, you were the first Muslim to be elected. How was that? What was that like? What were some of the challenges you faced?
Well, there were a number of challenges. The first thing I had to do was make sure that I was serving my constituents, right? They elected me to represent them, and they're a diverse community. Maybe only about 2 or 3% of my constituents are Muslim. So I had to do things that would benefit the Muslim community and everyone else too. So I focused my attention on economic issues. I focused my attention on getting things done for the ordinary, average working American in my district. I also did have some particular challenges with regard to being Muslim because a lot of well-meaning people just didn't know anything about Islam, and what they had heard wasn't that good. So I had to educate people a lot. And then there were people who were hostile to Muslims, and I had to sometimes confront them. And then I was called upon to always address this issue of being the first Muslim in Congress. And of course, when I was sworn in, I used the Quran to do that at my ceremonial swearing in. Of course, the regular swearing in, there's no book. You just raise your hand and swear to uphold the Constitution. But at the ceremonial swearing in, I did use the Quran that was owned by Thomas Jefferson. So my challenges were, one, doing the same kind of job everybody else, serving my constituents, just doing the job. But number two, tactfully confronting the haters. Number three, patiently educating my colleagues. And that took a lot of time and took a lot of work. But I wouldn't have had it any other way. It was a good experience, and it seems like a long time since then. It's been 10 years.
What advice would you give young people, particularly young Muslims, about who want to enter politics, who want to run for office, run for Congress one day?
I'd say put service first. Serve. Don't seek to be served. You serve. So the best way to qualify yourself is to get involved, in your school, in your community, in your mosque, making sure that, you're doing things that are beneficial. So be part of the youth group. If there's homeless people around you, make sure you do things to ease their suffering. If there's a clinic that you can work at, do that. If there's a senior center where you can read to some older people who maybe can't see or something like that, go there. But serve. Service is the key. It's not being a great speaker. It's not wearing a sharp tie or a suit. It's not bossing people around. It is service. Service is the thing. And then the other thing for young people to understand is you don't have to sacrifice being a Muslim. You don't have to be less Muslim. You don't have to go from Muhammad to Mo, from Samir to Sam. I mean, if you want to call yourself that, that's fine. But you don't have to sort of de-Muslimize yourself in order. People will vote for you if they think you're sincere. The people who are going to vote for you who are of other faiths, they want to know that you're going to help them. And they don't mind if you help the Muslim community too. But they do want to know that you're going to help them. And they don't have a problem with you being Muslim any more than Muslims who vote for Hillary Clinton. We don't have a problem with her being Irish, right? Be Irish all you want, right? The problem is, do you care about me and my family? That's what we want to know. We don't care about Bernie Sanders being Jewish. What we want to know is, do you care about me and my family? Will you fight for us? And if the answer to that is yes, then there's no limit to your service. And it doesn't even matter, my name is Keith Ellison. That's an English name. A lot of people in the United States have names like that. But don't forget, the president's name is Barack Hussein Obama. So don't count yourself out if your name is Ahmed or something like that. People will vote for you if they think that you're there to help them, right? So that's the thing. Serve. Put service first, and everything else will take care of itself.
Do you think someone named Mohammed al-Bashir could get elected in Congress today?
Absolutely. No doubt about it. But that Mohammed al-Bashir would have to do a few things. One, that Mohammed al-Bashir would have to work in his community. He'd have to get to know the grocers, the small business people, the hair shop folks. He'd have to get to know the people who are in the labor unions. He'd have to be a familiar face to people. And what would they need to know about him? That he's honest, that he's a fighter, and he doesn't back down if he's right, and that he has the courage of his convictions. They also need to know that he listens. He can't be one of those guys who always wants to talk and never wants to shut up and listen. He's got to be one of those kind of people who will listen to someone else. And then they got to know that Mohammed Bashir is willing to work hard on behalf of them people and their families. If Mohammed Bashir does that, Mohammed Bashir will be the mayor, the governor, the congressman, the senator, anything he wants. Today, that could happen.
How did you start your service to your communities?
Well, so I'm 52 years old now, but when I was a young person, I didn't like or trust politicians at all. But I did care about service and I cared about issues. So when I was 17, 18 years old, I was interested in things like the environment, police accountability. I started a group called the Environmental Justice Advocates of Minnesota, because we wanted to make sure that kids were not exposed to lead and other toxics like arsenic, which is a chemical they used in pesticide manufacturing. And we wanted to work on these issues. We wanted, there was a big coal-fired energy plant that was near our neighborhood, and I wanted to get them to convert to natural gas. So we pulled together a group that worked on these things. And I didn't really care about being in office. I cared about making sure people could breathe and drink the water. So I worked on that. And then somebody said to me, hey, maybe you could be a politician. I was like, I don't want to be no politician. But then I found out something, that somebody's going to be the congressman, somebody's going to be the senator, somebody's going to be the city council person. And do I really want to be twisting their arm to do what I think is just the right thing to do? No, I don't. And I know I wouldn't have to twist my own arm, right? So eventually, I ran, and I didn't have a lot of problems getting support because people already knew that my heart was right, and I was there to serve, and I wasn't there to serve myself.
You're one of the few Congress people, who support Bernie Sanders. Is that correct?
Yep.
Yeah. Why Bernie?
Well, Bernie and I have a lot of legislation together before he ever ran for president. So he had a bill to increase the minimum wage to $15, and I was the House author of that bill. He and I had a bill together to take all the public subsidies away from the big giant oil companies. So, we give over $110 billion every decade to companies like ExxonMobil, Chevron, and my thought is, this is a profitable company. Why is the public giving them money? And plus we're not giving the same amount of money to people who make solar and wind and renewable forms of energy. We shouldn't be subsidizing big oil either. So he and I worked together a lot before he ever decided to run. So when he ran, it was real natural for me to support him. I mean, I'm not against Hillary Clinton. She's okay. I mean, but I think that Bernie and I had some things we were doing together, and I thought we could extend the work if he were president. So I decided to support him.
Okay. That's what I have for you today.
Okay.
Thank you so much for doing this interview with us.
Well, can I simply say this? I really believe that young people are some of the most courageous, idealistic people in our community. And when young people are doing important things like doing interviews, like serving community, like coming up with ideas, it really helps everything work a whole lot better. So I definitely want to say that I'm proud of our youth, and I want to encourage them to keep on being involved. So thank you very much.